And then I scroll 4 videos down, there's a woman with a full tit out. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Hi guys, welcome to the first edition of the Heel Conspiracy Theory podcast. Me, Link and Pete have all got something lined up. We had a couple of guests, but they bailed on us. So, you guys, you know who you are. We aren't going to call you out, but you know, bad people.
It's Ronnie.
And Beyblade. We're going to start.
But he bailed before we even started, though.
On this episode today, we are going to do my conspiracy theory. On next Thursday's episode will be Link's, and then the following Thursday after that will be Pete's. And if these go down quite well with all three, then we'll probably carry them on and do some more. And then I've got some other ideas, like I wouldn't mind going down like some mythical stories and stuff, and theories of ghost sightings.
I thought you said goats for a minute.
Goats, yeah, I like goats. I like goats.
Just a story about goats. Every week we're going to have a new story about a goat.
Hi everyone, can I just please ask you to like the video for me whilst we're here? And then maybe subscribe if you haven't already. And if you don't like it, you can always reverse those decisions later, can't you? Back to the content. Bye. The lads kind of know. Pete sort of just said this age thing to me when I sort of half mentioned it. But my conspiracy theories, as you can tell in the title and the thumbnail, is the 27 Club. I mean, we'll just go through what we've got as I've got as research, and I will slowly read you through it all. So, zoom in. Editor Zan, zoom in on me. Me. Not Link. Me.
I don't.
Thank you. The 27 Club includes popular musicians, artists, actors, and athletes who died at age 27, often as a result of drug and alcohol abuse or violent means, such as being murdered, suicide, or transportation-related accidents. The club, which I might refer to as from now, has become somewhat of a cultural phenomenon. But the origins of the club started following several 27-year-old popular musicians dying between 1969 and 1971, which led to the belief that the deaths are more common at this age. So in 2011, the British Medical Journal study noted that young adult musicians have a higher death rate than the general younger adult population. That is awful writing by me on my research. Concluding fame may increase the risk of death among musicians, but this risk is not limited to the age of 27. However, Brian Jones, famously of the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison were first of the sort of the big names, the first four to die, and they were the ones between 69 and 71. At the time, it was considered a coincidence, up until sort of around Kurt Cobain's death in '94, where the 27 Club became a proper thing. It's believed that actually came from Kurt Cobain's mother. She said to the Daily World, now he's gone and joined that stupid club. I told him not to join that stupid club. So it was obviously a thing, like, on musicians' minds at the time, that they actually thought there was something there. In 2011, 17 years after Kurt Cobain's death, Amy Winehouse died at the age of 27, prompting a renewed swell of media devoted to the club once again. 3 years earlier, she had actually expressed a fear of dying at that age. So this is something that's really, like, mad with the musicians. They're all scared shitless. In popular culture, it's mentioned I've seen so many things that it's being referenced in, but some of them that are quite noticeable. In the song, the name of the song is 27 by Fall Out Boy. That was written in 2008 because Pete Wentz, the primary lyricist of Fall Out Boy, wrote the song because he felt that he was living a similarly dangerous lifestyle to those that had joined the club already. Juice WRLD himself referenced the club on his 2018 song Legends, where he says, "What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21." The song was dedicated to rappers XXXTentacion, who was murdered at 20, and Little Peep, who died from an overdose at 21. Juice WRLD himself then died at the age of 21 from an accidental overdose as well.
So he sang about dying at 21 and then died at 21.
Yeah.
That was only last year, wasn't it? He actually went. And
I think so. Yeah,
before.
But that's weird.
And he calls it an accidental overdose.
No, he didn't call it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But
it was an airport kind of thing, and there was a big thing, massive thing about it. Yeah.
Weird thing. And then in 2016, Even the game Hitman referenced it with the actual mission, Club 27, which involves killing an indie musician who was celebrating his 27th birthday. The RollingStone.com, they have about, I think it's 20 listed as their favourite ones. Sort of their favourite ones? That's not the right word. That's not the right word. What's the word? They're more
famous ones?
iconic. That's probably the right word, isn't it? Iconic. So Robert Johnson was the one that they considered the first back in 1930 something, where he actually died of a believed poisoning from a drink after he tried to chat up a server at a steakhouse, and then 3 days later he died of poisoning and pneumonia. And he was a pioneering blues singer of the time. The next sort of big one was Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones. And I would like to quote Rolling Stones as well, rollingstones.com. Jones's death at his country home in England in 1969 seems to be the result of his foolish behaviour to mix alcohol and drugs and then dive into the swimming pool was to swim directly into the arms of death. As clear as this seems, the death of Brian Jones has become one of the most persistent mysteries of rock and roll, with many people questioning the official version of what happened. Even members of the Rolling Stones had expressed doubts, and Keith Richards said, and still the mystery of the death hasn't been solved. I don't know what happened, but there was some nasty business going on. Which seems weird that he's not gone, yeah, my mate was an idiot, and just drank and then swam.
Because he really could have.
It'd have been probably the easier thing just to accept it on his own personal front, you know. Then we had Alan Wilson he was a Canned Heat guitarist. He died of an overdose. Jimi Hendrix died of an overdose. Janis Joplin died of an overdose. All ruled as overdoses. Not a lot of conviction in the results. Jim Morrison. So I would like to quote the Rolling Stone again. RollingStone.com again. The cult of Jim Morrison grew posthumously, taking off in 1979 when Francis Ford Coppola used the end in the soundtrack for Apocalypse Now. Part of the cult of Jim was the coincidence of him dying at the same age as Brian, Jimmy, and Janis. The 27 link helped reinforce the idea that Jim had been special, that his death was fated. There was something weird going on. The fact that Jim's girlfriend had died at the same age underlined the weirdness of the coincidence. So his girlfriend actually died at the same age as well. The legend was familiar to everybody with an interest in popular music by 1994 when Kurt Cobain decided to join the club. That's a quote. I've not said that. It's not the best wording in my opinion. Pete Ham from Badfinger died of suicide. Again, that was an alleged suicide. Another drug overdose for Jean-Michel Basquiat. I didn't note where he was from. I apologise. I don't know that one. Pete, you're quite good at music.
No.
He shut himself. He's going, who? I wasn't listening. I'll probably bring it down a note. Mia Zapata was then brutally beaten, raped and strangled to death in 1993 at the age of 27. Kurt Cobain famously committed suicide by gunshot. That is also another conspiracy theory in itself, that whole Kurt Cobain thing. That is...
Oh, he was an American artist, actual artist. That's why I didn't have him.
Thank you. Amy Winehouse actually was alcohol poisoning. Believe it or not, it wasn't the drugs that killed her in the end, was it?
Yeah.
And their quote is, "What Amy's state of mind when she took her last gulps of vodka at home in London in July 2011 is impossible to know. She had said there were things she still wanted to do with her life, but she seemed unable to take action. Despite being a remarkably honest and open person in many respects, she always had been cagey about her inner life. Observant Amy as we have, there is a strong sense that she was sick of her career. Like Jimmy and Kurt, she had become a prisoner of her own image." The next one, which is sort of a standout on their list, Anthony Yelchin, one of the few non-music related deaths that are even on the 27 Club list. Played Chekhov in the Star Trek reboots, died of a freak accident, and every article says a freak accident, pinned against a brick pillar by his own car. I want to run you through some facts. These will be very quick. I've briefly read some of these, and these are really interesting. And this is the thing I like. Even though I don't believe in it, there's something to it. In astrology, there's a theory behind the 27 Club. Around the age of 27, the Moon and Saturn move to the exact same position that they were during your birth, which can bring up a lot of emotional turmoil. Fans say that may be the reason why musicians fall into the habit of emotional breakdowns, drugs, and suicide. at that particular age in particular. And that is from the astrology side. Scientists believe that it's merely coincidence, but statistics indicate that 56 is actually the highest age. That is the age with the highest celebrity death rate. But in my opinion, 56 is a lot older. You sort of expect to see more deaths around the age of 56 and older. 27 is low. Most of the deaths were also suspicious and unclear. For example, Jim Morrison was found dead in a bathtub from a hotel in Paris, but no one knows the motive, or the cause, or the motive. And a lot of people were saying that this is the case, that Jim's was maybe the most potentially well done murder-suicide thing, that passed as theory that actually, are these people being taken because of something else? Is it an astrology thing? Is it worse than that? Is it that these people are being murdered at the age of 27 for some sort of satanic ritual? Are they committing suicide for some sort of satanic ritual?
I thought there was one I checked and it was.
There's a good one.
He turned 28 a little while before.
Oh, who was that then? Do you know?
Avicii.
Yes.
Avicii had just turned 28. Turned 28 a little while before. All of that, like, he had not long. I think it'd been a couple of months. He had just gone 28.
So was he somebody that should have been part of? Should have been. That sounds harsh.
Yeah.
Should he have been part of?
Avicii, because that kind of come out of nowhere, didn't it? And it was a bit like, oh, I knew he was around that age.
The next thing is that the Illuminati. Because people believe that the 27 Club was cursed due to Robert Johnson's initial decision to try and chat up and talk to this. I am not a believer of this one. His server. Legend says that Johnson met the devil at the crossroad as he referenced him. As he referenced him a lot through his music. So he was quite a sort of fuck the rules, satanic. Sort of mentioned him a lot, and then did that all combined, and then was the waitress the devil that poisoned him and he died 3 days later?
Illuminati confirmed. I'm not. Illuminati confirmed.
I have a fact, but it's not really a fact. Some conspiracy theorists continue to speculate that Amy Winehouse's death was planned by the secret Illuminati society. But they don't give anything else on that afterwards. I like to be a skeptic, but what? What? What's your thoughts on it, lads? As a thing, is it sheer coincidence that we've got that people are dying at the age of 27, especially with the 4 that were around the same sort of time as each other?
Okay, so I've been dying to ask this. How many people have died at the age of 26? How many famous people have died at the age of 26?
Let's have a look. See if there's a 26 Club death.
Exactly that. So 27 Club is a club because a lot of people die at that age. But like, how many people have died at other ages that are also part of different clubs? Essentially, you know, people die at any age.
Cool. So this database I have has 4,735 musicians, actors, historical figures, and other celebrities on it, and there was seven deaths at 26, according to this.
Okay, and how many at 27, according to that?
72.
And how many at 28?
Have a look.
Because you want to get like a full field to see whether it's an abnormality or whether that's the.
There's definitely a lot more. I'm looking around the edges, and there's a lot more that 27 than there are at 26, and things like that. And I think the thing is, if you look at the list of names at 27, there are some massive names. I think that's the only thing. The names there: Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain. There.
But all that says to me is that, because I mean, most of them were either self-inflicted or drug-related.
Yeah.
So all that says to me is that 27-year-olds with too much money tend to kill themselves.
I think it's now become. It's strange now. It's become like you said, it's been a concern for people. It was a concern for people like Amy Winehouse because it had been made into such a big
I think
deal.
the fact that it was a concern for Amy Winehouse put it on her brain in the first place, which is probably why it happened.
I mean, there is definitely a possibility to that, isn't there? I mean, when I'm just looking at the people that died at 28, like, there's a lot of much older from, like, I'm talking the person that's ninth most iconic on the list died in 1836. They were there, the ninth iconic. Avicii is first. There's like 28 club.
Heath Ledger and Avicii are like two of the big names on there. Yeah, no,
I don't know. You what? Look. I'm just going to poke holes in things. You know, that's kind
of the point.
The joy of these discussions, isn't it? Exactly.
But then,
so like, you know, the 27 clubs, because you know a lot of them are very, very famous. But it's like, but a lot of very, very famous people die at other ages. You know, it's not to completely dismiss it, because it's weird, but at the same time it's not that weird when you think about it properly. It's, you know, people die, and I know that sounds a little bit heartless, but it's a fact, isn't it? You know,
completely.
The only guarantee in life is death. And
I think looking at it, the only
and us cutting our hair on April 2nd, 3rd.
Definitely. The only thing that does stick out a lot on that list of 27s are there are a lot of apparent suicides and overdoses. Hell of a lot more than what you see of most of them on that list.
But again, that's money and fame and I guess around that sort of age as well. You've got to think around the age of 20, your late 20s is when you start making like decisions for the rest of your life. You know, that's you know, people say it's when you're 18 or when you first leave school, but it's not the case. It's not the case at all. You'll make those decisions a little bit later on when you actually go, right, this is actually what I want to do, and then you'll start putting down foundations at that age properly. So it's a very tumultuous. That's the right word.
Is it?
Tumultuous time for anybody, you know, to be making those big decisions in life, and it's going to trigger things and it's going to cause problems. Which, to me, that's what this is. It just doesn't ring true to be some sort of the whole Illuminati and all that. I'm sorry, mate. I actually laughed when you were saying it.
Mate, the Illuminati. I mean that is a conspiracy theory in itself, to be fair. So we won't go too much into it. But I mean, the one that I found interesting in terms of it, just I don't believe in it. But the astrology stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting.
That made me laugh. I'm sorry.
If that's something that they had in the first place, was a thing. Say before they did any of this research. It's a thing, you know, and that's what they're saying, and it's sort of lined up. It does make it think. It's a bit sus.
I wish I could give astrology credit, but it's like,
oh yeah, I wouldn't necessarily give it credit, but if you're basing it off the fact that what their astrology, what their laws are, I don't know what's the right word. That if that was a thing before the 27 Club, like. It's weird that it lines up if that is a thing that is when they align.
Well, I mean, it's weird, but like most things in astrology, for that exact reason, they're all very vague.
Yeah,
and they're very vague because then they can fit pretty much anything that happens, and that's exactly why they do it. So I wouldn't expect anything different.
What do we think of the unknown status of Jim Morrison?
This is the thing. I've always thought that there's a lot of people say with suicides and bits and pieces. A lot of people on the list, which also made me think. There's always, was it really? No one else is around. You the whole Kurt Cobain thing. No one really knows.
I know a lot of people.
No one really
believes that Kurt never killed himself, and he was shot by his missus, and she was.
There's a lot.
Somebody tell me before I lose my mind.
I can't remember.
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love, thank you.
Yeah, it was Courtney Love. She was definitely. She was in his note, wasn't she?
Yeah, there was a big thing where her and Dave Grohl wouldn't speak for a long time because there was differences and beliefs that were going on and disagreements, and he's always been a very open kind of thing, thinking there was more to it than meets the eye, and that was like his best mate.
Again, and that's
it's one of those, you never know.
a similar thing with Keith Richards with
Yeah.
Brian Jones.
You have a rock and roll lifestyle like that, and you've
Temp
been
fate.
through drugs, depression, bits and pieces. The one thing people straight away pin it on is suicide.
But
names like that.
Yeah.
Chances are it probably
Or accidental overdose.
Yeah.
accidental overdose. A lot is lot of so Jimi Hendrix was I think the official verdict was asphyxiation, and I will read you out what Jimmy's was, because I think a lot of people, well, a lot of them were very similar lifestyles as Jimmy. And Jimmy was very out there. Nobody knows for sure how many pills he swallowed or whether he understood what he was taking. The drug was Vasparax, a strong barbiturate, basically a sleeping pill. Half a tablet was enough to put a man to sleep for 8 hours. Jimmy may have swallowed as many as 9. He also had been drinking. This was foolish and reckless, but was in character, and that's coming from RollingStone.com. During his years on the road, Jimmy had gone into the habit of using drugs indiscriminately. Jimmy would take a handful of shit, not even knowing what it was, his friend Deering Howe has said. And for me, that's sort of where it leaves me with the 27 Club. It's sad, and I'd like to think there was more to it, because as a conspiracy theorist, I want it to be more. But in my first one, I think I hit a dead end, in my opinion. Which is a shame. I'd like to go, boom, here it is, and maybe one day I could I'll spend a couple of weeks researching it and decide, hey, look, there's a connection here, there's a connection there. I don't think I would, in all honesty, no matter how long I looked. People 10 times smarter than me have looked for probably 300 times longer. So, but I mean, it's not up for us to completely decide it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think of the 27 Club. Did the likes of even people like Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, did they die from the ways that the coroner said, or was the Illuminati involved? But with that, I'm going to sign out and say thank you very much. Please like, share, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Yeah.
Are we doing premieres for these?
We would know by the time we've watched this. We'll know.
Yeah, that's true.
We will. This is just a little heads up, because obviously then future ones will also be doing premieres.